gonna be talking about bugs. Let's go. The first thing we're gonna be talking about is the Dubia Roaches. Take it away, Dad.
Alright, so these are our Dubia Roaches. Now, they're a little colony that I have set up to keep feeding our reptiles and reproducing little babies. They're from Central and South America. They live in somewhat high humidity, and they are non-climbing on glass. Unlike a lot of roaches that can go straight up glass or smooth surfaces, they can't really escape like that, so it makes them easy breeders. They also have a longer lifespan than a lot of insects, so you're not too worried about them, dying off within a week. Alright, so these are two of our dubias. Now, the male dubia right here has wings. You can see how he has the little fluttering wings right here. They can't actually fly. They use it as a threat display to other males to claim their territory and mates. Over here's a female. She has really tiny little discets that are kind of like wings, but not to the extent the male has, and she's also much larger. Unique about these bugs is they don't technically lay eggs. They keep the eggs in a sac below their waist, and when the babies are ready, they emerge as little tiny roachlings that can just run around on their own. Now let's flip a couple of these logs and see what we got underneath them. Here, let's put this one up again. I've also got in this container a couple of different species of isopods that help clean up. See all those little babies are in there? And those little white things are actually isopods, if you can see them in between the roach babies. They clean up poop and leftover food and stuff like that, and they pretty much help keep it clean. Some of the little white springtails I have in here, but you can't see those on camera very well. There's a lot of roaches there. Look at all these little babies. Wee little babies. Go eat your food. Now this is a Grand Canyon isopod. Look how much bigger. These guys are huge compared to other isopods. But they're technically crustaceans and not bugs, like a crab. You've probably seen some YouTube videos with large isopods from the ocean. These are the same kind of guys that just live on land. And they reproduce the same way, where they don't lay eggs. They just have babies in their body and then they release them into the area.
Now we're on to the soldier flies. And the fact about these guys is they have no mouths.
Or butts. Alright, so the soldier fly are the end stage of the soldier fly larva. Now these little tiny bugs, they can pretty much eat anything. They're used in a lot of agricultural places to break down waste and stuff like that, because the end result, these flies, aren't a problem for transmitting disease or anything like that. They're still high calcium. We can feed those to our animals to boost them a little bit. They're good in the desert because they live in dry conditions. And so these are one of the easiest things I can keep breeding for animals to keep them healthy.
Daddy, no! Daddy, no!
Alright, these are our Madagascar giant hissing cockroaches. And these guys we're keeping for pets specifically. Some people use them for feeders, but they are way too big for anything we keep. Take a close look at them. You can see the ones with the smooth heads are females, and the ones with the large double horns are males. You can see some of our already hatched babies are in that little nook right there. They stay pretty much protected by the adults for a while until they're big enough to fend on their own. We've had them laying about 30 to 40 babies every couple of days at this point, or weeks, I mean. And they're all in little nooks inside the cork bark because they're too scared to be out on their own. And these are a few of our Halloween hissing cockroaches. They're closely related to the giant hissers, but they have a much striking color difference. See, it looks like, some people say it's supposed to look orange like pumpkins, but they look more like bone to me, and the little dots on the top look like skull eyeballs. But we're keeping these with the hissing cockroaches all together, kind of like a pet project, because these are some of the easiest to handle bugs. They can't really hurt you at all unless you jam it in your mouth and let them run around in there. But other than that, if they did bite you, you wouldn't notice. They can't really produce any kind of damage. They mostly lick their food. Whoop, there, it jumped off. They like it humid, they like it quiet, and they like it warm. So you just keep them in a little tub or a box with a little bit of water and some dirt to dig in, and they're real happy. And this is Itsy Bitsy, our Guyana pink-toed tarantula. Now these little guys are arboreal, so they live most of their lives up in trees, bushes, mostly trees. They weave webs so they can detect prey. Doesn't technically catch them. But also, they're pretty not domesticated, they're just not very violent. No, most tarantulas have this thing called an urticating hair. These guys have them, but they're a type that you have to rub onto the target. So as long as you don't antagonize her too much, you can get away with holding her for a long time without getting stuck with itchy hairs. The downside is they don't have the defensive hairs of big tarantulas, but they can shoot their poop. And she does a lot. Look at that. That's a shoot poop. I scared her vacuuming and she shot her poop. It's just gross. Now our last bug is the Ezra blood. Ezra bloods are aggressive eaters of spicy foods and being annoying. They make a screaming call most of the day that drives its parents insane. And eventually we feed it to a larger bug. The bugs!
Well, that is it of talking about the bugs. Next episode is going to be about gargoyle geckos. And make sure you like and subscribe. Bye!
What was that? Halo?
Take it now, Dad. A fact about soldier flies is that they have no mouth or
Anus?
what?
Those are scorpions. They're pseudo-scorpions. They don't have the tail.
So
But they live as parasites, or not parasites, they live in symbiosis with the hissing cockroach because the humid environment lives in grows mold, and they can't clean their whole bodies because they're so big. So these little dudes do it for them.
This looks like a little bit testicle. There's a little bit tiny bugs on there. Here you go.